Abundance flows to me when I get out of my own way. Life is so easy when I focus on what is great. I am worthy of reciprocated energy. I am worthy of a love that loves as deep as me. I am worthy of aligning with my higher self. I am worthy of desiring miracles.
Hey guys, it's me, Trayvon, back for another episode of Crazy Talk. Can y'all believe we're already on our 5th episode? It's crazy to me. I just want to thank you for staying with me and tuning in and listening. If you do like the show, make sure to follow us, drop a like, and hit the subscribe button so you're notified every time we post a new episode. Also, I do appreciate feedback, so let me know what you're thinking in the comments. If you'd like to see something, hear something, feel free to drop those comments. Anyways, so oh God, I'm shaking a lot. So for today's episode, I wanted to kind of like dive deeper into last week's episode. I know we kind of touched the surface on my relationship with Alicia and how that quickly went negative. But like I said, that was really surface level. So in this episode, I kind of wanted to focus on the behind the scenes of what was going on, and what was going on in my mind and the situation that played out. Because it's very easy to take that and look and be like, God, he was manipulative, he was an asshole, a douchebag. But then the circumstances that made my mentality that way, it's just a different perspective that I'd like to talk about. Okay, so yeah, let's dive in. So, where do I want to start? Shortly after me and Alicia had gotten together, I had gotten kicked out of my house and became homeless. I got kicked out because me and my oldest sister had gotten into an argument, and I cussed. I cussed at her. I called her a bitch. And my grandmother said she was not having that cussing in her house, even though my sister was literally calling me a faggot and cussing at me. But I couldn't cuss, so I got kicked out the house. Anyways, the fight started because she wanted my charger. Instead of just asking me for my charger, she decided that she was going to accuse me of stealing hers. I had a job. I bought all my chargers from Five Below. But no, she just insisted. She took. That's all she did. So I ended up throwing the charger outside my window. And you know what she does? She smashes my windshield because I got the charger wet. And I got kicked out of the house. And for that, so I called her a bitch. I got out that car. I was enraged. I was ready to fucking fight. Like, you just broke my windshield over a fucking charger? And it was like all like right there in the passenger, at the top of not the passenger, the driver's windshield. You cannot drive with that. But nope, I was in the wrong for being upset about that. I was wrong for calling her a bitch. And I was wrong. So I had went inside. Instead of fighting with her, I went inside and I was going to that downstairs basement to cool off, my space, whatever. But I was cussing along the way. I was enraged. I was heated. I was screaming. So my grandma was like, you gotta go. Mind you, Brianna had just called me every name in the book and broke my fucking windshield. But because I called her a fucking bitch, I lost my home and became homeless that day. Yep. So I was forced to get out. I only had like a box, so just put this and just put the stuff in my trunk. I drove off and I just drove to the Walmart parking lot. I had no idea what I was going to do, where I was going to go. I had no money. I was 18. Freshly 18. Like I was maybe a couple months after I graduated high school. So yeah, so I texted my friend Amanda. Like I had no idea. I knew I couldn't go over to Alicia's house. Um, so the only person that I could think of to help was Amanda. So I shot her a message and asked her. I mean, I knew I couldn't ask to sleep in anybody's house because nobody fucked with me like that. But so I sent her message. I let her know what happened. I was like, "Do you think your mom would let me sleep in my car outside your house?" Because I felt so unsafe, like sleeping in my car in like a Walmart parking lot. Like that was my first time being homeless. I had no idea what to do. So I was scared to death to sleep in my car. So, anyways, Amanda asked her mom. Her mom said, "Yeah, I could sleep in my car in their yard." So, I lived like that for a couple weeks. And then I lost. Oh, I was not working at McDonald's. I was working at this little diner. That's right. And I got fired because my battery died. And they had given me the wrong cell phone number. And even though I could prove that I called the number that I was given, I was let go. So, then I'm like, fuck, I have no home. I have no job. I have nothing. At least I have a car that I could sleep in my friend's yard. But I'm not gonna lie, I was a little resentful for that because like all these people just saw me sleeping in my car, homeless, and nobody was offering me a couch, a bed, nothing. So, but at least I had somewhere safe to park my car. I was trying to look on the bright side, but I was just like resentful of everybody. Everybody that was around me that was just okay with me sleeping in my car. It's just like, fuck. Whatever. Um, so that lasted like 2 months, I believe. And then it started getting colder. So Amanda's mom did let me sleep in the house. So that's when, at that point, I had started working. I was working at McDonald's, and I had started overnight. And I was sleeping on Amanda's floor every night. My, yeah. So I was very, very grateful for that. And then from there, me and Malaysia are still dating. She's coming over. We're hanging out in Amanda's house. I was grateful for that they would let me have her over. But she was friends with Alicia too, so that was cool. So we were good during that time, even though I was sleeping in my car. I was low key resentful, but that kind of started the downhill thing because I was homeless. I felt like an outcast, an outsider. I had no one I could really talk to. I mean, I could talk about the superficial stuff with my friends right there, but I couldn't talk about the pain I was in because I was sleeping in my car, or anything like that. They didn't talk about feelings like that. Um, so, and then after that is when things really got bad. Um, and so after I had moved in to Amanda's house and was staying on their floor, um, that was actually the high. That was actually the highlight. Very, very big. That was like one of the best times of my life because it was just me and my friends hanging out all the time. We were having fun. So it was very conflicting. We were getting high every night, didn't really have to think about that I was sleeping in my car. Um, but yeah, so then Amanda's mom gets notified that she has to leave her house. I don't really know the exact situation about that, but apparently they were behind on rent. Um, I don't know why nobody mentioned anything because I would have gladly paid something. But anyways, they were behind on rent and we had to leave. So I was like, oh my God, this is it. You know, I'm really homeless again, sleeping in my car. Um, but then, we had this great plan. Me, Madison, and Amanda and her mom were all going to get a place together. I was working, Amanda's mom was working, and Madison was working. Amanda was not working at that time. She didn't have her license. She was just, chilling. Um, so I was a little iffy about that, but I figured we could do it. 3 incomes, we could do it. So we found this house that was expensive as hell. Used mainly my credit to get on. I was like the main signer, and then they co-signed, I guess, because my credit was the best. And then we got approved. And shortly before we were supposed to move in, Madison, she quit her job or got fired. Whatever. I don't know. But then I was like, fuck. This is not good. I was working over 40 hours a week overnight at McDonald's, and my checks were like $500. And that's when we still smoking. There, I was just like in my head, there's no way this is gonna work. 2 incomes, and that Amanda's mom doesn't make that much. So I was very panicky. But Amanda and Madison were like, well, yeah, we're gonna find jobs, we're gonna do it. And then we had like maybe like a month before we moved in, maybe. And I was like, that's when the resentment and I started to like shut down and away from everybody because like I just knew this wasn't gonna work. Madison and Amanda never got a job. We ended up moving in the house and they still did not get a job. And things were still, all right. Me and Alasia, we were seeing each other less and less at this point. I was working a lot and just really spending my free time really with the girls, honestly, and not her. Excuse me. So I was really making them a priority and not her. And I said it was just, we were, working on house stuff. But anyways, we dragged on for another like 2 months. Life in that house was literally nothing but chaos. Madison had men in and out of that house. Had my anxiety through the roof. It was a trash house. She was in there living in the living room. It was just not, it wasn't it. It was not it. And here I was working my ass off to pay for, I didn't even pay 1 month. I didn't even last 1 month but we had paid the deposit. Or no, I think they got help with that. I didn't pay shit before I left. It was 1 month and we got the rent and all the bills. And I didn't even factor in water, electricity, any of that. And here we are already, not a month in, already freaking out about rent because nobody had gotten a job. It was just me and Amanda's mom working. And I was literally working all night, like for 10 to 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. At one point, 13 days I worked straight. And that's when I crashed my car falling asleep on 95. But the point is, it was a very, very poor environment for my mental state. I was crying every single day. Both my friends had turned on me, Amanda and Madison. Madison, Oh, they turned on me because I was getting mad that nobody was working. And Amanda had previously made a comment about me leaving my dishes in the sink, and that was it for me. She was like, "You need to," I quote, I can remember it. She was like, "You need to stop eating and just leaving your dishes in this and the sink. You can't just sleep all day." In my defense at the time was I was high as fuck. They had woken me up from my drug induced sleep. So I'm just like, whatever. Like, I just got off work for 10 hours. You know, y'all aren't working, but okay. And at the time, at the moment in my head, I'm just like, I'm just so exhausted. All I'm trying to do is sleep. But in reality, it was the drugs that was making me that tired. Um, but even still, in my mind, nobody else was helping, nobody else was working, but I need to do more around the house. Given now I would not just put my dishes in the sink and leave. So, but besides the point. Just many versions of each story. That was my thinking at the time. Like, how are you going to ask me? Say you have a problem with me not cleaning up, but yet when I voice my concerns about neither you or Madison working, then I'm the bad guy. And then I quickly became the outcast in that house. Um, First, it was Madison that stopped talking to me, and then it was Amanda. Amanda joined in, and literally nobody was talking to me. And they would gaslight you and tell me that I'm making it up, that they didn't have any issues with me, but then you would hear them talking shit about me, and then you would know that you were being excluded because they would stop offering me to smoke with them. I couldn't touch their weed. I couldn't They wouldn't pass you the bong. You would find them doing other outside activities and you wouldn't know. It was the small things. Like, I wouldn't be invited to go on the walks with them. I wouldn't be invited. I just was excluded. And I could feel that, and then I was told I was tripping. I would literally go crying to Amanda's mom about them not liking me. So yeah, I was like, literally my only escape was just drugs. I was taking Benadryl. I mean, it wasn't anything intense. I was just taking Benadryl at the time. I didn't have money to buy weed, so Benadryl was cheap and it came with a lot. So eventually I was literally taking a whole pack a day. Because first it started, I would take one or two, and then that wasn't working. So then I'd take more and more and more until eventually I was up to a whole pack just so I could not have to deal. And then the thing that got me is in my nobody cared enough to notice. That's why I left. It was like, how are y'all treating me? How can you say you're my friend if I'm over here literally high out of my mind every day? I'm literally in my room 24/7. I can't stand to be around. I'm not eating. I'm not interacting. I'm just nothing. I'm just floating. Every time you come in my room, you have to struggle to wake me up. You see the boxes. But when I said enough is enough and I packed up and I left, I was instantly the bad guy. I was blocked, I was ignored, and I was made to feel like I was wrong. Given I was wrong for just up and leaving. I left all the responsibility on Amanda's mom, and she was mad at me for years for doing that. Years. But no one ever owned up to the fact that how I was being treated in that house. And that's literally my life. Like, everybody wants to blame the reaction, but not their actions that caused me to get there. Over the years, I learned that I can't punch walls, I can't scream. I'm supposed to shut my mouth and walk away. So that's what I learned to do. I shut my fucking mouth. I packed all my shit and I left. And that was like, that was when that was just the end of it. I mean, it was still, that didn't make my life any better because I had absolutely no one. I had no friends. I had nothing left. And that was a very hard decision for me to make because, I don't like to be alone. I had the fear of abandonment. For months, I was trying everything I could to make them stay and make them love me and want to include me. And that I literally gave my all to them and got nothing but hate back. And these were my bestest friends. All because I was mad that they weren't working and I was having to. So, all those emotions, like, it's mainly, for me, it's the fear of abandonment that gets me. Once I detect those signals that you're throwing out, I'm done. And I withdraw, I do drugs, and I just can't handle it. I blame myself. I see me as the problem. And then it's just a downward spiral. So, unfortunately, I took that out on Alasia. I couldn't talk to her about it. I mean, I did talk to her about some things, and she would be like, "Oh yeah, those girls need to get a job. Like, they're tripping. You need to do better." But you weren't offering me any solutions. That's what was going on in my head. Like, and I kind of blamed her for that too because in my mind, I wanted her to save me. I wanted her to be like, she was working as well. I wanted her to be like, let's get an apartment together. But that, I think I even asked, but that was not an option for her. She was safe in her grandparents' house. I mean, obviously and rightfully so. Why put yourself out there if you don't have to? Um, but in my head, that's what that was just like, you don't love me enough to be in this fully with me. So I quickly withdrew from her for that. I didn't explain the situation. I just assumed that she would know that I wanted to move in with her. Um, yeah. So instead, I broke it off, told her nobody wanted her here, and that was it. Because all just because, like, and I mean, it wasn't just that she wanted to move in with me. It just, in that moment, it seemed like because nobody was aware of what was going on, to me, that felt like nobody cared. But she was the one, she was, my girlfriend. So at that time, it seemed like it felt like she just didn't love me enough or cared enough to care about my situation. I was about to be homeless again, and she's just like, "Oh, yeah, you got to do what you got to do." And that's really my pet peeve, and that's why that's most of that's my biggest trigger for my split episodes, or for me leaving and cutting someone off. If I feel or pick up on that change, then I'm just gonna shut down and withdraw because I would rather leave than be left. So those months or weeks of withdrawing before I left was me like mentally leaving. Um, I mean, they were already leaving me. They had already left, really, really. But then that was my coping mechanism because they were still pretending to my face that they never left, that they were my friends, but they were not. So I shut down and I did drugs and I was getting high every day. Not high, I was just going to bed. I was literally popping them pills and going to sleep. Had my glee on and I was just out. I did not want to be alive. I did not want to be awake. I did not want to deal with any of it. It was too much. There was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't go back home. I had no money. What was I going to do? Live in my car? And then it ended up being that was a better solution than staying. So, yeah. And that's what happened to caused that episode.
Abundance flows to me when I get out of my own way. Life is so easy when I focus on what is great. I am worthy of reciprocated energy. I am worthy of a love that loves as deep as me. I am worthy of aligning with my higher self. I am worthy of desiring miracles.
If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes. Thanks, bye.